lane. So hopefully here in Game 3, as we are ready for the picks and bans, he can do a little bit more of that for this squad.
That's going to be critical if Splyce want to find their first Game 3 victory and a big set victory potentially.
We should stop saying it, by the way.
Sorry, yeah, I'm jinxing it.
Going into Game 2.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Splyce. It's Game 1. Welcome in. Hope you're awake. Like, we're starting the day. Yeah, here we go.
Sure. We don't want to confuse you all at home. It certainly is Game 3, but
keep that on the low.
Yeah, don't let Splyce know, because apparently that's, I don't know, it just gets in their head. But already they're starting things off fairly standard. Guan Yu banned, Terra banned as well by Spacestation. My question, though, is Spacestation going to keep going back to this Chang'e?
My brain is telling me no, and that this has all been a ploy this whole time. That they've had a game plan for when it goes wrong. But something deep down, my gut is telling me maybe they don't have anything else right now. Maybe they really felt
maybe
like
they think Chang'e's OP
to continue to work. First pick Kumbha, by the way, for Splyce is what just happened. But honestly, I don't think Splyce likes being in first pick right now. I don't think there's anything that other teams prioritize that they feel is very, very good right off the bat. And so Kumbhakarna is something that Splyce definitely wants and doesn't force their hand with that pick, doesn't make them, play something that play a certain style or anything like that. You're leaving yourself wide open, and you're letting SSG go for what they want to go for, and now Splyce gets the counter pick. This is going to be Naja Odin, right? Like, that's just the obvious two picks.
Why not?
In my mind. It's the same bans as the first two games of this set. SSG take the Chang'e and the Hachiman. They didn't have the Hachiman last time. But yeah, Naja Odin is just the way to go here for Splyce. And I love it. SSG must feel like it was just their own execution that did them wrong there, not the draft. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think that Splyce played it very well and their execution was better. But this is a good change-up. Get the Serqet, something that can fight better early on, because Andy was on the run all game long. You heard Anatoly and F. say it. Serqet can fight so much better in the jungle in these 1v1s than Susano can in the early game. I think this is a great switch-up for SSG.
And it really does feel like it's so dependent in those 1v1s on who lands the first ability, right? Sash into some more damages, or the ult is almost enough to kill you, as is Cobra's Kiss, Deathbane, Last Breath, and you never really get a chance to interact in between on both sides. So whoever gets up to the better start, you feel like can win that one. But I like this. Gives Andy a much better chance to fight back in the jungle. And means that, they can't pick up this Serqet. At this point, Splyce probably weren't going to, but, it definitely works well in the Space Station roster. And ban away that Hou-Yi.
Smart.
He looked a little too comfortable on that, did CycloneSpin last game, so take that away.
And the Discordia as well. So you take away two gods that looks very good for Splyce in the last team composition and make sure the same follow-up isn't going to be there this time necessarily. But Scylla is open. I wonder if that's where Splyce is going to go. They have great setup for it. And again, Space Station goes back to the Sylvanus. This tells me that maybe they weren't just sitting waiting for some team to beat this Chang'e. They were really all in on this strategy. And this is like, beating it once doesn't prove a whole lot to me. It does prove that it's possible and that you can do it and that there's things that can work against it, and that's all great. Beating it twice, for me, means that Space Station is going to have to switch up their picks and bans moving forward in the next few weeks. I think even beating it once showing that you're vulnerable and showing what works well against it is scary to continue to pick it over and over and over again.
Right.
But maybe Space Station can stick with that. But this is critical for Splyce to find this victory and prove that they have figured out this Chang'e Sylvanus double sustain that Space Station seems to be married to so far.
But this is a really strong composition for Splyce. Not because these are the best gods in the meta or whatever. These are comfort picks. It'd be hard to find something on here these players wouldn't just first pick anyway. The Kumbhakarna for Aror, the Cyno on the Naja, CycloneSpin on the Neith. This Odin into the Sylvanus Chang'e. This is a great composition for Splyce. It's just hard to pick anyone against Space Station and hard to pick Splyce in Game 3.
Yeah, it is. And that's really the only determining factor here. I don't know. Like, my brain is telling me Splyce wins this. Like,
everything is.
My brain tells me Splyce, but my gut feeling is that Space Station are still going to find a way to win. Somehow. They're just going to overpower Splyce. I've got to go Space Station. You always go with your gut.
That's right. I mean, Space Station, until they prove otherwise, I think they earn the pick in these spots. So we'll give a chance to see if maybe Splyce can earn that pick going forward, or Space Station continue to be untouchable here in North America. We'll let the casters bring us the Game 3 action.
Ryan says, stick with your gut for once in my life. My gut's actually going to be a good thing here. I think this is all about Splyce, baby. Now, you've got Thoth for Baskin, and that's a scary part, but everything else Everything else is saying Splyce.
Well, Serqet for andinster. He's been making a lot of plays on that.
I am so less scared of andinster on the Serqet than I am Baskin on the Thoth.
I'm telling you, Divios is not going to be having a good game with this Serqet for andinster. A lot of action in the soul lane. Waxing Moon, Last Breath combination. You're just asking for trouble.
Well, let us know who you think is going to win. We'll ask you there in Mixer Chat. I'm actually very curious about this one. I want to see where the fans lie. You always have the BaRRaCCuDDa effect, but I really want to see where the remainder of the fans wind up going.
I think both games, they were less than 20% from the votes. But after winning that game number 2, we'll see what the fans have to say for game number 3.
Let's get right into it here. Game number 3, the rubber match between Spacestation and Splyce. Very interested to see where these teams go. The group up is 5.
Another invade. Splyce are consistent about this level 1 invade. Divios fanning out. They even drop a regular ward right at the speed buff as andinster alongside Baskin, just seeing what the deal is from Splyce.
Right now, they're just trying to figure out where exactly the folks are going. And you can see spread out here will be the invade, Cyno and Divios, and TheBest. Going to go 3-player strong into the enemy jungle. I like this choice here. I think it shows the correct mentality. And the idea is to make sure that they can get an invade, but the enemy won't. And that's why you see CycloneSpin harassing
I
Andy.
see what he's doing. He wants to wrap around all the way to the enemy speed buff. CycloneSpin spots it out. Is he going to chase andinster, though? Because that speed buff has spawned. He recognizes that they can't defend their own speed buff. So andinster actually neglecting the enemy speed buff, squeezing in these backcamps because he wants to invade the red.
Yep, BaRRaCCuDDa and Jeff show up a little bit late, though. Cyclone able to pick this one up. The sprint is popped because andinster is on the run, also has a sprint of his own.
If he had a little bit of a shorter cooldown on the Deathbane, he could Deathbane past CycloneSpin and look for the hot body blocks. SSG just barely not there in the nick of time to steal away that one. That would have probably been level, almost level 2.
Cyclone almost gets the purple, but does put some powerful damage on JeffHindla. About 3/4 of you guys in Mixer Chat think that this one's going to be all Spacestation. Very low percentage
I don't know
on the
about
side of Splyce.
the experience per minute. andinster is going to be struggling because that speed buff still going the way of Cyno and andinster. Not on his last legs quite yet. No Thunder Crash available from Best. He's only level 2, and he has so much freedom. When your mid-mage doesn't get their escape at level 2, you know he's just chilling.
Yeah, got to look at that one going forward. Although how long till he reaches level 3, right? Because you're not going to... There's no way that players at this level forego their escape till level 6. That just doesn't happen.
No, definitely not. And I understand that Raijin, that thought CycloneSpin going to get pulled back in. But I understand that Raijin works really well with Percussive Storm to clear the wave.
Right.
But there's so many times where you do that, and then all of a sudden the enemy's like, oh, okay, you don't have your dash. I'm just going to go on you.
Well, here's... can we actually see what TheBest has leveled if he does
Well,
have
now
that
he
dash?
definitely has the Thunder Crash.
There it is, level 3, yeah. So I said at level 3, no problem. But what Raijin wants to do, specifically here, is clear this wave hyper early so that they can find subsequent invades. So he's going to look to clear the wave as quickly as possible. You can see Cyno already at that speed buff.
andinster not having a good start to game number 3. Similar to game number 2 because the timer is all Cyno. He even has his own speed buff to fall back to. The Spacestation Gaming looking to play a little bit aggressive along the dual lane because they want to look for at least a red buff invade potentially.
Blue buff invade coming out by Splyce again. It's a great look for them, giving Divios the blue, taking it away from Aquarius' Chang'e. And they're going to invade those XP Harpies as well. Spacestation respond by looking for a red buff invade of their own. They missed the first one, now looking for the second. But the idea from Splyce is to look for the first blood instead.
The stun from Baskin from a distance, forcing TheBest back on out of there. Red buff was stripped away. So even though Spacestation are losing their speeds, they finally took one away from both Best and CycloneSpin. Not having the red buff for Best Raijin. Can't really fight the damage out of Baskin's Thoth.
I don't know if I liked that play. You saw Splyce go for the kill onto JeffHindla instead of focusing elsewhere. Cyno going to focus in the middle lane, and andinster finished by TheBest. First blood for Splyce.
Thunder Crash was that extra little bit of damage needed to find lethal. andinster, he was getting denied so many camps, finally gets victimized because TheBest Losing his red buff gets the first blood bounty to compensate.
I really love Raijin. I think Raijin is a very thematic character, and hearing the drum hit on his quads is really fun for me. I think it's just a really cool thematic. The Vorthos in me is coming out. It has no impact on gameplay. I just like the sound.
There's always a feels thing when you're playing certain gods, certain skins potentially.
Actually, you know, since we're talking about the basic attacks, I do want to bring up Raijin's basics are wider than anybody else's in the game. That's by design. It is listed on his passive.
Just to be able to hit the Raiju, it makes a lot of sense to get the splash effects. Auror's trying to see what
he smells something.
Yeah, andinster right to the side, but he's only level 4. No last breath available.
Aror feels this. I don't think he's even caught him. I don't even know if he's caught Andy out of the corner of his eye.
No, the thing is, it's not even that they feel afraid of andinster. If they knew andinster was there, they go even further back. It's the fact that BaRRaCCuDDa was at level 5 and can still make an offensive play in his own right.
Well, I mean, Andy's only level 4, so. Divios right side, however, certainly strong at level 7. Able to strip away Aquarius' blue again. Spacestation Gaming have responded by looking for the red buff repeatedly, getting it 2 out of the last 3 times, this one included. Splyce, on the other hand, have gotten speed buff, blue buff, XP camps, both rotations.
That's right. The right side is completely dominated from Splyce, whereas about maybe 75% of the left is Space Stations. At least Splyce gets their own purple and their own back camps.
And that's the 1,500 gold difference between our two teams.
And the right side is just starting to add up as we approach the 6-minute mark of the game. Cyno goes for the back camps yet again. These are on a 1-minute respawn timer.
But keep in mind, look at what he just walked over, the wood, and that's going to send Space Station directly into the jungle, which means Cyno going directly into andinster. Ultimate brings him down to half HP, little bit of help from his friends, and Divios makes sure that andinster eats it for the 2nd time this game.
World Weaver was used, but it never needed to actually hit because both Best and Divios right around that corner. Bird Bomb dealing so much damage. When you use that last breath, you're stationary, so a lot of Odin follow-up damage.
Meanwhile, Best takes about 30% of his HP. Say a third right there. The Best doing well.
Still kind of chilling. Not really worried. But Baskin has gotten a lot of solo farm because of how far behind andinster is. And that's the scary thing when you're dealing with Baskin's Thoth that has such great accuracy. And when you give a mechanical player such as Baskin the range on this god, it's a nightmare. Their very first set of the season, I think it was against E United. It was a battle of the Thoths.
Yes, yeah, it really was. Venenu also bringing it out. CycloneSpin, which is he had the Thoth dash.
That's the problem with
nowhere.
Neith. That is the one concern with Neith. That backflip is so telegraphable, and that's her only form of escape. Like, she can make you have less attack speed with her unravel, and with her ult being down from trying to assist in the gank, you're not stunning anybody anytime soon.
It's honestly less of an escape and more of a movement ability, I think. Now, it's funny because, like, that sounds like, what are you talking about, F-Dot? But I don't... Neith players don't try to escape with backflip in 2018. You know you're dead when you land. It's more of a setup. The weave is a big deal. And then, of course, the follow-up. Red buff, finally secured by Splyce.
Baskin got ulted also by CycloneSpin, trying to deter him away from the action. That red buff, Splyce definitely wanted to secure that for themselves, finally.
Well, it's about sort of disrupting the flow. andinster is able to get his speed buff on the other side, and so Space Station, or excuse me, Splyce, they were able to give up the red buff so often because they were dominating this right side of the jungle. Now that they're not dominating this right side of the jungle, they kind of need to pick up that red buff to sustain themselves up. Keep this 2,000 gold lead going.
Trying to make it happen here in the 8-minute mark. The fact that they're starting off this split in the summertime with a win over Trifecta, that's their only victory thus far. And they need to find their footing as this is the beginning of week number 3. We're almost at the halfway point of Cyno using that ultimate for the first time defensively.
Yeah, I had to get on out of there very, very quickly.
Solo lane. Divios doesn't need to really jump when you have that much damage from the Bird Bomb. Aquarius not even getting the health shield a little bit lower. You absorb a lot of damage, but that's also a form of damage. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. If you're hitting the Odin, you're not really hitting the wave, but Chang'e's cooldowns are short enough that you could potentially get away with doing that.
And so that's how Aquarius will look to fight this one. But Divios already up about 3 separate levels, totally. And when you were talking about, or maybe the desk was talking about, you'll forgive me if I misrecall, but saying how Aquarius can deal with this Odin. Well, right now, I mean, nice Phantom, buddy. This still doesn't look like Aquarius is having a good time.
No, not quite yet, as he is about 3 levels behind the Waxing Moon through the wall, trying to secure his own blue buff. Not going to be fruitful. As in the dual lane, at least Spacestation Gaming able to find a kill onto CycloneSpin to get him a little bit more delayed in the action, as BaRRaCCuDDa is trying to win the race in the stacking department.
Sash chasing out the beads from Baskin immediately goes down south. Cyno gets hit by the ultimate from the jungler. And he chased out by TheBest's ult himself. Baskin gets hit by Cyclone's ult.
I think they definitely could have fought that because Cyno's ultimate wasn't available. They must not have had the timer. They saw him ulti away from the red buff, but it's very close. That 90-second window. Andinster gets followed by Divios under his own tier 2 tower.
2-0-0 for the Canadian solo laner. Great job so far coming out from Big D. Loving what Splyce has been bringing. And they're going to continue things, pushing the party forward, looking for an early Gold Fury. Already leading by about 2K, totally. And with the Gold Fury going down rather quickly, looking to push that up even further. Gold Fury, Splyce.
Trying to make it happen around the red buff as Jeff uses his ultimate onto Aror, but not too much follow-up damage. I believe Baskin was actually clearing that middle wave. And another objective goes to Splyce in game number 3. Really stretching the boundaries between the gold and the experience. We were talking about before the game started how Divios might be having a difficult time against both andinster and Aquarius, but the game plan from Splyce as a whole is just so solid. Shut down the jungler. Season 5 has been always about junglers setting the pace, and thus far, it's Splyce shutting down Andy.
Exactly. If you look at what the draft has really amassed, it's funny because we always look at what the draft is trying to offensively do. We talk about the proactive a lot, and then we talk about the counter composition, right? They have a healer, put them in an Odin ring, right? But what we don't talk about is what they're able to sort of dissuade you from doing. Sure. And you don't want to gank an Odin. You can't really gank the Raijin with the jump. There's just a lot of options here, and I guess my thesis doesn't stand up because of the Neith selection. But what Splyce have done here is selected choices that make it tough to really gank.
They definitely are difficult to gank when you're this far behind as a jungler. Andinster is trying to play catch up the whole entire time.
That's a...
If he actually committed to that speed buff invade instead of just doing the backcamps into the red, that's hindsight 2020. I like the idea, but man, that caused him to falter very quickly. The right side is all Splyce, that solo side of the jungle.
Yeah, really clean reaction from Splyce, which is perhaps the bigger conversation. I mean, we look at these guys, and Splyce Spacestation were trying to be aggressive. And I think it's very easy to sort of sit back and go, okay, well, I mean, how do we deal with that? Let's just kill them. I think that's a rudimentary thought process. But Splyce, with the galaxy brain going for the next level and looking for the invade and just owning that it was 2 separate cycles. They got it the spawn, they got it the second after, and they got it the third time. Let's go back in the game for a third time. In our third game. In our third week of our second split.
Of our 5th season.
Rule of threes totally cut it out.
You just said second split, though.
Yeah. No,
after the rule of 3s.
But I did 3.
You can't do that.
I did 3.
You did like more than 3. You're breaking your own rule, Tom.
No, I did a multiple of 3. I did 6. So it was.
No, you did about 4 or 5.
It was the double burger with cheese.
The double, okay.
It was a double burger with cheese.
We'll see what Jameson has to say after this one.
Cyno, sure. Grab it up, JeffHindla, and that's a mark. I love that mark of the Naja player. First of all, get all your sash jokes out of the way right now. Thank you. Tossing out the sash, just with no intention of follow-up, is so important. Aquarius right now collapsed on. Stun 1, stun 2, ring. Where's the Phantom? Where you at, Aquarius?
He's not even going to try.
No. You don't, and I have no disrespect for the standstill, because what are you doing, bro? I'm dead. 7 ways to Sunday. If I press W, nothing's changing.
Definitely not. I mean, I like the fact that you're holding the Phantom, but if you go more north, you're still getting the team a little bit further away from what they want to do next.
That's fair.
Which was the Pyromancer. So any sort of seconds that you add to the enemy is saving your team a little bit of time.
Oh.
Man, Cyclone is wishing he had the World Weaver because that's a solo kill.
Cyclone right now is wishing he had the World Weaver, because that's a kill.
Cyno around the corner with a blink.
Oh, look at that play!
Sash. Oh, we're not going for andinster, going for BaRRaCCuDDa instead. Mounted archery, trying to commit, but without his own dash. BaRRaCCuDDa now in a lot of trouble.
Cyclone takes care of Baskin in trouble as well. And the best puts on a show. That right there, that was, oh man, I prefaced this statement with, I root for the good play. I root for the Jiffy Cat. I root for the highlight reel. And Cyno right there, I was rooting for him to get that kill. Uses the ultimate simply to close the gap. Uses the ring toss, hoping to get it off of the minion wave. Hoping to get the kill by way of the ring toss extending. Didn't want to commit to the full tower. I liked everything about that. Cyno wasn't able to get the kill, but it looked really cute.
World
P.S. Andinster's dead in the mid lane.
World Weaver helping out Best find the kill, and Best, I believe, solo killed Baskin. I'm not really sure if Aror dropped any abilities next to him, but it was a difference of a tier 1 penetration item that about 15 to 20 extra magical power allowed Best to just topple over Baskin. Also, I believe Baskin didn't go back to base quite yet for the Aegis Amulet to give him an extra moment.
We've said this quite a lot, but if you are just joining us, haven't checked out Esports Weekly, it's important to remind you guys that for the summer split, Splyce right now are all grouped up. We spoke to Aror earlier, and they're all hanging out at their coach's house right now, in person. And I think that has really helped out the communication. Not just the ability in-game to turn to your friend and mention it. I think that's where everybody's mind goes at first. But the follow-up, the idea that these guys are eating dinner together. These guys are cleaning the house together. These guys are a unit. And I really, really and truly believe in the human element in gaming, totally. And I think that as silly as this sounds, the ability to go grocery shopping with your 4 teammates, I really think has made Splyce a better team. And I really believe in the human element here. Splyce is winning this game because they understand each other to the nth degree.
It was a little slow start in the summer split for them when they lost to Luminosity, beating Trifecta, but then immediately losing to United after the fact. But beating a undefeated Space Station is a pretty good improvement from here on out. And it's just a mix-up of their strategy that's working out. Sure, the cohesion of the human element is nice to be able to bond together a little bit more, but you also got to be able to hit your stuff and get in the enemy's mentality. And Space Station seems to be mentally just defeated. The way andinster started off the game, he just faltered the whole entire time.
And by no, I am not saying that Splyce is a better team than Space Station. And if you want my personal opinion, I don't think that's the case yet. But I think it's absolutely beautiful ability there by Aquarius. Phantom going to get him out of the cage. And then teammate shows up, so that'll dissuade a little bit of the nonsense. Just kidding. It's andinster.
Oh. Divios missing the bird bomb jump, so Aquarius could have took way more damage. Still waiting in the backline. The heal is good. Lands the third one, but andinster trying to return fire onto the Odin.
Divios can't find the jump for the second time. Now he's body blocked by minions. In trouble. BaRRaCCuDDa making the rotation. Nice immunity. 4 now. And Aror gets kill number 8 for Splyce. Kill number 1 for himself. CycloneSpin working on the split push all the while. Splyce, to cut my previous conversation short, not better than Space Station. That was not what I'm saying. Soon, we could be having that conversation. If this is the way Splyce show up to every single game, Anatoly, team's got to watch out. CycloneSpin got to watch out. He's the second casualty for his team.
All the deaths are onto the Neith player, and Neith has the pros and cons. It's mostly the global pressure, but when you're out of position that deep in the enemy jungle, you just don't have the mobility to escape those clutches. So at least Space Station are answering in kind, and you were mentioning the differential in skill. All 5 players of Splyce, at any given moment, at any given day, can easily be the better team than Space Station. That's what makes it really scary in the Smite Pro League, is just you never really know who's going to be the top dog of this specific week.
I mean, it's interesting. We just watched game number 2 where CycloneSpin gets the BaRRaCCuDDa solo, right? He plays the Ho-Yi. He does something super fancy. And we're like, all right, Cyclone, you're doing it again. But now, turning and looking for the World Weavers. JeffHindla gets hit by one of them, ringed up by Divios. Not a lot of aggression here coming out from the Splyce boys. Kept at a distance a little bit by andinster. Ultimate at the best, not the strongest. And that was a miserable team fight from Splyce, who have looked great up until this point. Almost 10,000 gold in the lead, and they completely dropped the ball there. I would love to see Space Station push forward and punish this.
They probably can. Pyromans are very low. Waxing Moon not able to secure that one. Final Judgment a little too short. CycloneSpin back flipping away as Divios is the one that got last breath.
And Andy, the culprit killer right there. 2-4 is the slash line for the jungler. Now Cyno on the return. Nice lazy back coming out from Aror. Able to handle that one. The best underneath the tower. Crunch. Down goes the mid laner, and it looks like the jungler's next, and he will be. Cyclone gets
the
one.
Backflip onto andinster. Gets pulled back in. BaRRaCCuDDa is going to fall as well. It's a 2-on-2 next to the tier 2 out of Splyce. Backflipping his Baskin. Forces Aror to still chase him out.
Gets 3.
Is dead as well.
And Baskin here in trouble. Aror gets 4. Cyclone lining him up and lining him down. Great play there from the Hunter. And you know, I was just saying before, I said Cyclone on the Ho-Yi did some flashy stuff. And then in game number 3, he takes the utility character and he does. No, man. Even on the Neith, he's going to pick up the quad.
It's so difficult to find multiple members with your root, but the stars aligned. andinster super frisky, feeling himself as Aquarius, trying to stop this Fire Giant attempt. Epic uppercut Aquarius. Just buying time. Waxing Moon onto 2. CycloneSpin going to eat the full duration of it. The damage is good. The backflip still not enough to kill him.
Yeah, there's the best through the wall. And
Andy.
Cyclone, that was dumb.
He needed to do something. He was going to get sandwiched. He could have continued to go south, but that play was so important. Sacrifice your soul leaner for the Hunter damage. Aquarius going to respawn a little bit faster than CycloneSpin, and this is going to be a 4-on-4, which favors Space Station. Fire Giant still stands.
I don't know. I think there's no world that Cyclone has to die there. I think he just walks south.
I don't anticipate that he knew he was right under a ward.
I mean, yes.
And, like, you have to evaluate so many things in a team fight. A blink Serqet might not be on the top list of your priorities.
Sure.
The call was kill Aquarius, back to base as soon as possible, finish buying whatever you were buying, and get the Fire Giant. That was the mentality.
Yeah, sure. I don't think he needed to rush it. I think he could have walked a little south, back to the safer spot, but irrelevant because Splyce's lead still holding
astronomical.
Itself.
Yes.
10,000 gold. Cold Fury going to push this even further. No chance for Space Station to defend this. If they were cheeky, they would go for the Fire Giant, but with Hachiman all the way back in the base, not going to be the case. But you can see Splyce is wary of that decision path if that were the case, because they're going directly towards the fire.
That's going to be very important to stop any sort of comeback potential, because Space Station still have those late game mechanics. The level 20 Thoth and Chang'e. That double mage combination between the damage, between the utility of the heals and the just stun. Splyce can't let this game get out of control, or they need to get this game secured, unlike the way that they were doing in the first game, because they were in a good position actually for the majority of the game.
Yeah, they've certainly been doing it. They've been looking good there. Cyno waiting for a speed buff, picks it up. Cyclone getting ready. Just eyeing out the scope. Not going to be the case. Jumping up. Fire Giant started by Splyce. 59-48. That's the gold in thousands. And Splyce going to get this one. I won't say for free, totally, because the work that Splyce has put in this game number 3 feels like they've earned a paycheck. And that's paid in full in advance. Fire Giant going to Splyce.
They took a lot of risks in the early game, which panned out for them. They recognized that, hey, our level 1 is stronger than the enemies. Let's just group up and stop them from doing what they want to do. And then they covered their separate option. When CycloneSpin was harassing andinster at level 1 from getting his own speed, he was worried about not even being able to counter-steal his speed.
Ultimate from Cyclone going to be immune. Cyno just going to be tortured. Aegis saves him for the moment, but he's going to die to the poison. Able to escape to the left before able to spread it to his teammates, but 5 on 4.
Man, you can never count out Spacestation, even when their backs are behind this wall. Down 12,000 gold, down Fire Giant, hold on to the right side, Phoenix. Can we look at gold in hand really quick? I'm just curious to see if Splyce are sitting. All right, they're sitting on a decent amount of gold. They're not 6 items deep quite yet. That could have been the determining factor.
Yeah, just a little bit of gold that everybody can spend. Pick up some extras could be a big deal.
CycloneSpin finishing off the Mad Guy's Coke, which was a very popular thing to do for hunters at the beginning of Season 5. Started to falter away a little bit, and
This is you have awakened the beast. Remember how I complimented you on the nuance of your usage of the term meta? Now, I'm not accusing you, but there are plenty of people that ask, you know, is this a meta build? Is Magi's Cloak a meta build? And I immediately spiral into a rage. There is no world where you should be buying Magi's Cloak every game. Magi's Cloak is a direct response to the opposition, and when you look at the course of characters that Spacestation have, stun, taunt, stun, knock up, all of these guys you're going to want to use some sort of CC immunity on. CycloneSpin needs extra and goes to Magi's Cloak along with 2 of his teammates, 3 of his teammates. Love it! Big initiation.
It's on to Baskin in the back. He dashes on backwards. Jeff is taking a lot of the front end of it. Cyno escaping down south. The Phoenix goes down, but no one from Space Station goes down.
I'm fine. The best could have killed JeffHindla, and this is the question I'll ask you. The best could have killed JeffHindla, but instead opted to use the taunt aspect, the crowd control aspect of his ultimate to ensure that his team takes the Phoenix. In my mind, that is the correct call. Despite the dropped kill, I don't care. The Phoenix went down. Am I correct, Coach?
I think Phoenix would have went down either way you look at it, but the taunt was the more correct, like precise play. It was the more accurate way to secure the Phoenix and make sure everyone escapes safely, because obviously you don't want to deal with any sort of follow-up damage. So you use that to zone away, use that to damage. When you're this far ahead, either one works. Yeah. Always going to be a better spot to taunt them, though, unless someone else is doing this form of CC for you as the Raijin to do the damage.
Yeah, nothing there. 3 different aspects for Tycho. Shout out to our observer, Doug, who's been doing a fantastic job this season and certainly joining the conversation. 25 minutes on the clock here. 13 and 7 create 20. And Splyce have 13 of those kills. Left side, Phoenix will be the focus for the Yellow Snakes. That's a good stun, and the gas is going to be hit. Sprint pop forward, Aror all the way to the back line, but he's tanking the tower and tanking andinster. Sleeping time for the support. Cyno up in the air and Aquarius down to the ground. 1 for 1 so far. Aqua for Aror.
Trying to make it happen. More shots. CycloneSpin not backflipping away quite yet. BaRRa thinking about chasing this down. The blink from andinster. He uses the death bane in the back line. He gets the last breath, forcing the Aegis, and he's going to jump in.
But he falls. andinster does get Cyclone, but he's away from the teammates. Cyno dies. 3 players dead for Splyce. Auror's up at 20, but the other 2 are dead for 50 seconds. And if the best falters here, he's going to be out for about a minute as well. That's one way to do it.
He couldn't get out. There's no world you're escaping a Thoth. The Thunder Crash range does not outweigh the range of the Thoth.
Nope. I like I like the play. Just that's best going.
I'm dead.
What does Raijin say when he jumps, when he uses Thunder Crash?
You just said it, Tom.
It's actually, if you slow it down, it's why'd you leave the keys up on the table?
Using a System of a Down reference. Wow. This is where we're at. Because you gotta put a little makeup.
Close enough. I'll give you an A for effort, Tully. He's shrugging his shoulders. He's like, dog, I got nowhere where you're going. Spacestation going for the Fire Giant. Like this call. I think Aror here is a good deterrent. Splyce have had problems sieging. Right side, failure. Left side, failure. Mid lane worked out. Location, irrelevant. I think the difference between these three fights was right side, left side. Aror went way too deep.
Somebody has to, and the whole game plan is Splyce uses CycloneSpin's ultimate as a not even a surprise tactic, because he's channeling in front of their face.
Yeah, he's sitting there
like, all right, who's gonna get this ultimate? That's what Space Station is worried about. Like, all right, we have to be like still relatively close to the front side of our Phoenix because we just can't allow it to go down for free. Holding on to the right side, holding on to their left, barely, almost holding on to their middle one. And if Aror goes in, then that leaves more allowance for Cyno to control the space. He goes in onto Aquarius. I'm shocked that Aquarius, I think he actually survived that encounter. Or
what an interesting build. I'm going to go in a different direction totally. For the Hunter. You've got Devo gloves and attack speed boots, Ninja Tabby, which lend themselves to be not usually what Neith's players want. The idea with those two items are to be basic attack character. And then the Crusher into the Jotun's Wrath, into the Titan's Bane, defensive item irrelevant. This is a very interesting thought process. Divios starting up the mid lane Phoenix as it has respawned, and Splyce wants to grab this one immediately. Aquarius with a nice stun, but the mid lane Phoenix does fall down.
Nobody dies, though, from Space Station or Splyce. Everything kind of working out. The builds you were mentioning about BaRRaCCuDDa going for Ninja Tab. I'm
talking Cyclone.
Oh, for a CycloneSpin. It makes a little bit of sense considering that his basic attacks in the late game still will do a lot of damage. With all the pen he has between the flat pen and even the percentage from Titan's Bane, he's looking to burst down JeffHindla with that extra boost of attack speed.
Usually what you see, I think the most traditional way to build these ability hunters in the non-traditional sense, I realize that that's a doozy of a sentence. When you build Neith like a mage, you usually see the Transcendence into the Warrior, into the Crusher, into the maybe the Jotuns, into the straight pen, and then an Odibo at the end to just say, all right, I guess I'm a carry. But CycloneSpin tossing it up, doing some different stuff. And I think the Devo gloves, I think the lifesteal has actually helped him in this game, looking really nicely. There he is. Ready with the
blink onto Aror, catching out Baskin, forcing out the beat. It's a chase down for the Thoth, intercepting it. It's going to be andinster actually as Aror gets the epic uppercut. They're trying to peel for Baskin for as long as possible because the right side Phoenix needs defending.
Baskin takes care of Cyno. Right side Phoenix still in trouble, not down just yet. Finally, the Neith gets on in there. CycloneSpin now trying to immune some of the Aquarius nonsense. And that's exactly what he'll do. Andy on the back line meets up with TheBest. There's the jump forward, try to bait it out, and just got there. Wonderful patience by Mr. Daly.
Aror is the next target. He messes out Aquarius for the moment, still dashing away. Right side Phoenix does fall. Mid side waves. Look at the Titan room because they need to defend it. Aquarius has backed as Aror falls. It's a 5-on-3 now.
You know, Cyclone being the only, I guess Najah can really do the damage to the Phoenixes, but he's focusing on taking the players out instead of the Phoenix.
That team fight, perfect from Space Station. Even
Yes.
though they did lose their right side Phoenix, Baskin survives, and that's all they really needed. JeffHindla used his ultimate after landing from the epic uppercut to save Baskin. Perfectly timed, and andinster steps in front of Baskin to intercept the Najah ultimate, which I think was just Mad Guy's cloaked away anyway, so not having to worry about going up in the sky for that one. And then Baskin turns around from the fountain with his long range just to take out Cyno. So no more assassin you got to worry about. Yeah, they could have got more kills potentially, but it's really difficult when you're dealing with a Kumbhakarna, which was first picked this game, by the way. Splyce heavily leaning on the CC from the Kumbha.
The ability to just occupy space is really big. CycloneSpin playing up. Very dangerous here for the Hunter. Sticking with the ability-based build. Sometimes late game we see the Hunters transition into full attack speed, but not the case for Cyclone. Wants that ult-pack punch. Going to stun out JeffHindla. There's the response of his ultimate of his own. Divios gets pulled, but Aquarius just deletes Cyno. This has to be an all-out retreat from Splyce. Spacestation could turn this one completely on its head. CycloneSpin going to be hit by the ultimate.
They're going to find some more damage as they chase him down. They don't really have the sustain that they need. That's all on Spacestation's side. There goes the sprint, but there goes the blink from andinster. Auror's the next target. It's going to be a nice pull from Jeff as he dashes away.
Best trying to do what he can, and that's enough. That's enough. Cyno up in 30 seconds. Spacestation not able to topple the players just yet.
They were worried about the taiko drum, so they don't really hard commit to that chase. But man, Cyno, he blinks in. He doesn't hit the sash, and he has to try to get out of there. But I think he holds onto his ultimate for a little bit too long defensively because he probably didn't anticipate both Baskin and Aquarius hitting that ultimate as he's retreating on the backside of it all.
Yeah, probably focusing more offensively, honestly, is the Naja. That said, I would like to see Cyno turn around now. Naja does a great job of dealing with Serqet. You can, if you're fast enough, you can sash her during the Deathbane. But really what I'm talking about is the ability to just flicker her out of the fight. Take her to the sky and say goodbye.
There was a disconnect between Splyce and Cyno. There was a lot of focus onto Jeff with the World Weaver from CycloneSpin, and Cyno just blinks past him, trying to make an even fancier play when the most basic play that they wrote up was kill the support, and then we have a 5-on-4, and then maybe we win from here.
The simplest play possible is
kill the stun tree.
Yeah. We'll have to create our own Smite Razor. That one's not going to work. Splyce right now 15-14, leading this one, up 11,000 gold as well. Right side Phoenix about to respawn, and that will be the focus target. Naja, I want to play a little bit more back. Already cut down at half HP though. Have to lean on the Fire Giant for the regen. Divios and friends make it up in time to pick up the right side bird. Mid lane Phoenix, half HP.
That's important that they get the right side Phoenix down because the Titan is not going to regain any more health as long as all three Phoenixes, or there needs to be all three Phoenixes up. So that little bit of poke from the minion wave could come back to haunt Spacestation, panning how this next engagement pans out.
Well, Splyce just going right past it there. They don't even want the Phoenix. They're going right for the truck. The Titan's under attack. Aquarius takes care of the best mid lane, during the ultimate. Is it enough damage? The answer is yes. Wow. Splyce go right past it and topple Spacestation 15-15. But Splyce on top.
Wow. What a sleight of hand. I think, who was there in middle? Was it Cyno?
Yep.
Cyno was buying time for the rest of Splyce to get in there through the solo lane. Spicy stuff from Splyce.
We usually see we have the Talon Claw, right? Where it's the 1-1 and then 3 in the middle. Or the 4-in-1 push, which I don't have a fancy name for.
Okay.
And usually what happens is you see the 4-in-1 push and the assassin will win the 1v1 and then try to be cheeky and solo the Titan, then everybody falls back.
I mean, normally it's the global pressure guy that goes for the 1,
right?
Whereas the rest of them go for the 4.
This was the opposite. This was, instead of the individual going for the sneaky play, they just bum rushed the Titan.
They got a fire wave right next to them.
And Space Station just went, okay, well, we got to go catch up. Splyce, absolutely improving. Looking fantastic. Who's the MVP? That's the question.
Whoever made that call.
Yes, that is my answer as well. Whoever said, and I can totally picture Aror just going, you know what? Just screw this. Go for it. I think that's what he did.
That sounds just like Aror. Exactly. Like he streams, he'll be like, man, Tom did a good impersonation of me earlier.
Aror, definitely a lot of fun. You got more impressions?
No, that's all you. I'm done.
Let's go to the desk.
That was such a bad Aurora.
What was that?
Have you met Aurora? Have you been in a room with the man?
Horrible.
Horrible.
I mean, last Worlds, Aurora and FDOT sang basketball like 10 times together.
Like
so we know he's met him, and there's no excuse.
Ball. Yeah, they did it like 30 times. It was
that's very Aurora. That's actually very Aurora.
I know.
But Finch here, I got Aggro with me, and this is huge. Splyce beat Space Station, and I don't have favorites, Ryan. I don't root for anyone over anyone else, but I think the league is better because Splyce won that set.
Well, first of all, Splyce actually win a game 3, and they do it against Space Station of all teams.
Which is absurd, by the way.
Absurd. But if you thought you knew exactly how NA was going to break down all year long, this has got to throw a wrench in your
Throw
plans.
it out.
I mean, you could start reseeding all over the place because Splyce, you have to consider them a top-tier contender now.
Yes.
I don't think that you can argue it any other way. This is a team that clearly has improved significantly since the spring split, has improved week to week, and are able to take it to the best of the best. And here they take a set off of Space Station. And it's not like that Space Station was in the lead and it ended up with Splyce. You know, they came back off a throw or something like that. This was Splyce's game from minute 1. And it took them a little bit. They hit the wall a little bit and couldn't quite push through those Phoenixes until they just decided the hell with sieging. We're just going to go for the end. And I love that confidence about it. I love the way this team is playing right now. I love what they're picking. They're doing their own weird stuff. Stay away from Ross Solo. Besides that, they look great.
Well, it is going to be Aror selected as your MVP there in Mixer Chat. Thank you for voting. He looked excellent on the Kumbhakarna, both in Game 2 and Game 3. You know, and I think that they're right to talk about Auror's play, but for me, in both games, the difference was Cyno getting early pressure over andinster.
Yes.
He goes, andinster, I mean, talk to me about what he was doing at the beginning of the game, and Cyno punished it so well.
Well, the early start was just a festival, to say the least.
It was not
andinster
good.
Thinks about going towards speed underneath, but Cyclone sees him, pokes him out, so andinster stays on back left harpies and tries to help invade red. That doesn't work out. They don't get any kills. They don't get any buffs.
Right.
That was pretty bad for Space Station. And Cyno putting early pressure was absolutely critical overall. But I think that CycloneSpin deserves a lot of credit in this set. I mean, we talked about it in Game 1. That was the moment last season, or last split, I should say. If this exact situation happens, Splyce lose this game at that moment where they're ahead, and then Space Station surge forward, chase them down, get some kills. Cyclone maybe gets 1 or 2, but then backs up, and Splyce don't end up winning that game, I feel like. This time, Cyclone steps up and kills 4. And a lot of that was about Aurora, and I think that that's why that you can vote him for MVP and be correct and not say CycloneSpin, because Aurora did great work in that team fight as well. But that is the play that turns this game, or prevents this game from turning, I should say. Because, I mean, Splyce is off to a big lead right here. There's an 8K lead for Splyce, and it ends up being an even bigger lead after this. This is, you know, they don't get a Fire Giant because Aquarius stalls them out. But this is the moment where Splyce really continue to keep the momentum in their favor. If this is Spring Split, I think Splyce lose right there.
Right.
But because it's summer, because they have more experience, because Cyclone's more comfortable in that role, a quadra kill happens, and Splyce are able to take advantage.
And I said this before, old Season 2, AFK, Envious, whatever you want to call it. If you remember that team with Aurora on it and with Cyclone there, or not Aurora, but with Cyclone on it,
yeah.
This is what Cyclone did. He would rotate on the back of team fights and clean house. And that's what CycloneSpin's doing for you in this team. And I feel like when Cyclone's playing like this, then Splyce is up in that top 2-3 conversation. So they got to be able to keep that going. I think they're 3-1 right now, and hopefully they'll be able to keep finding that magic they unlocked here.
And the only set they lost was to E United, and that was a pretty close set. Like, it wasn't even a complete stomp in United's
I think they won a tournament too, right? One that mattered a little bit.
United?
Yeah,
I
don't know.
think so.
That's like in my head somewhere. Maybe.
No, Rival won the last LAN.
That's right. Sure.
That's it.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
They're the world champs.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Right now. And that's no shame in losing to that squad, but certainly an excellent set here between these two teams. So we'll make sure that we go through and talk a little bit more about what you all can expect coming up from the rest of the week. Here's that schedule for you. We already been through Monday, Rival versus Obey. Wow, the hits keep coming. That's going to be tomorrow. You want to make sure you check that set out. E United versus Trifecta. See how well Trifecta can stack up against the top. A lot of big important sets coming through.
Rival's only sitting at 2-2 so far. They haven't looked like we expected them to look after that dominant Masters LAN victory.
That's right.
Not dominant, but beat up on Dignitas at least in the finals. So they haven't looked that good quite yet. They're sitting at 4th overall, actually behind Obey Alliance. This is a big game for both of those teams tomorrow.
Taking a look over in North America, I believe we're going to be seeing CLG and Luminosity later on this week.
Yes.
Another big set. That's going to mean someone's going to have some momentum after that. No longer going to be winless, going to grab a set victory, and hopefully can start building off that one moving forward as well. Right?
Yeah, someone is going to have to win.
Right.
You can't just afford to lose there as well. We're not going to have a tie or anything like that. That's going to be a victory. And I think that I said it on Esports Weekly earlier on today. If CLG lose that set, I'm done with them for Summer Split. I'm off that CLG train.
Sure.
They have to win against Luminosity, and they likely have to win their later set this week as well if they want to have any chance of turning the split around.
But that's what's kind of opened it up for North America to be so interesting right now, right? It used to be CLG right up there. Now Trifecta kind of looking a little bit better. So are Splyce. Yep. I mean, it's really hard in North America to predict exactly who's going to win on any given day, and I think the league is just better when that's the case.
Can't disagree with you there. The parity, that's what every league wants, right? It's no fun when you go in and know exactly who's going to win every single game. I might because I have the best pick rate on Esports Weekly, but everyone else is clearly struggling in that regard.
Yeah, they're just trying to catch back up with Ryan, aren't we all, in our own way? But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about when you can expect to see which shows from us and which of your favorite events. So Esports Weekly, the show Ryan is alluding to, that's every Monday at 10 a.m. Ryan gets to come in and show just how much he knows. Then I get to show how much I know up against F. He stays free. That's what the F is for. Then console will be right after that. You can see Global Series Tuesday through Friday, as well as Minor League to follow that. Then the SPL is Monday through Friday every day during the week.
You can expect SPL 3 p.m. Eastern every single day.
That's right.
If you got stuff to do in the morning, make sure you get it done fairly early on because 3 o'clock, you got to be right here for SPL.
Yeah, push that homework towards the end of the day. You know?
Or just don't do it at all.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan said that, but that's an option too if you don't want to do it.
Hey, I got here. You'll be fine.
That's right. You can be Ryan one day, right? Who doesn't want that? Let's talk about some of the other events that we're going to be bringing at you, Smite-related throughout the year. Once the summer land is over, that'll be towards the end of July. We're going to an event I'm personally looking forward to, that All-Star Weekend. Going to be excited to get some of those pros out here and see what they can do in different groupings than they're normally used to. Then Fall Split, when that's over, we're heading right into the placement rounds for SWC.
Man, that placement round week is going to be absolutely insane. I hope you're getting yourself ready, Finch. You better be ready to cast all day, every day, because that's going to be every SPL team, multiple different Global Series teams, minor league teams.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be just preposterous.
My understanding is that we should not expect to go home during that week.
I would not.
Just get used to being here.
Yeah, I would not. I would. I've actually already claimed my spot on where I'm sleeping.
Whoa, that's big place.
Yeah,
grabbing that spot early, and of course they're all trying to work their way, Ryan, towards HRX at DreamHack November 16th through 18th. So it won't just be the World Championship for Smite, Console World Championship for Smite, Paladins Console Wars. And you'll get to meet your favorite players, coaches, personalities. We'll all be there, the talent pieces. You'll get to see even some other games at the event, too. It's an incredible deal. We got the best. We might have the best deals in gaming, in all honesty. We have great deals.
Not trolling, the Ultimate God Pack is still the best deal in gaming.
Yes.
You might be able to get on board here, something with hi-rez.expo.com. Probably won't be as good as the God Pack, but it'll still
be close.
A good deal. Yeah,
it'll be pretty close.
Yeah.
But we make sure that we do a real good job here for y'all. At least we try our very best to. So hopefully we'll get to see y'all out there November 16th through 18th. Grab those tickets. That's going to do it here for us with the SPL. But we should have Global Series for you all right into the minor league, right into more SPL tomorrow morning. So check right back with us. And as always, have a good night.
Peach it.